Democrats are acting like cheating boyfriends right now. I'm sorry, but somebody's got to say it. I'm independent. I think there's good ideas on both sides, there's bad ideas on both sides. But what this DOGE audit is reminding me of is like a girl taking her boyfriend's phone and like hiding in the bathroom. And the Democrats are just banging on the door and they're like, you are invading my privacy. You can't go through my phone. And Elon Musk is like, yes, I can. I can see what you've been up to. And then every time Musk comes out of the bathroom, he's like, look, see what you did? They just turn it around and they're like, you invaded my privacy. This was your fault. You broke my trust.
So, disaster relief, this is a falsehood. Disaster relief funds used on immigrants illegally in the U.S. The fact is, no money is being diverted from response needs. That's the fact.
President Trump and Elon Musk and our entire administration are going to continue to go line by line and treat this federal government like a business. Money in, money out. And what do we actually need to spend money on to advance America's interests? That is our goal here. That's all that's happening. Anything else is fear-mongering by the left because they don't have a real message and they're deranged. There's no other way to put it.
I don't know how the Democrats get out of this one, honestly. You saw from the intro, I showed you an independent voters talking about how Democrats are like a cheating boyfriend. Once you catch them, you expose all their things. They're like, oh, it's your fault for exposing my privacy, right? My first video of the day, you saw me go through how or talk about the circumstances in which federal judges are trying to block Trump at every turn. They're telling Trump that his Treasury officials don't have the ability to oversight because it can cause irreparable harm. It's the same thing with their comprehensive border plan. Like what does it mean? It's nothing but jargon. What does this jargon mean? Can you be more specific, Judge? What kind of irreparable harm will be done? Oh, the irreparable harm to the Democrats' reputation. Because right now, the Democrat Party are looking they're validating all the opinions I ever had about them. If you're new to this channel, I've been consistently saying that the Democratic Party is the party of bureaucracy, the party of fraud, waste, and abuse, the party of incompetence, the party of looking good but not actually doing good. Here's a post that gives me an example of what DOGE is effectively trying to do. Also today, the Department of Education terminated 89 contracts worth $881 million. Remember, the total budget for the Department of Education is $850 billion. A lot of opportunity for cut there. One contractor was paid $1.5 million to observe mailing and clerical operations at a mail center. Today, look at all the money you're saving right now. Today, the Department of Education terminated 29 DEI training grants totaling $101 million. Like I said in this channel before, DEI is nothing but a hustle. DEI is a hustle to get to benefiting off of white guilt, aka making a group of people feel guilty about themselves because they happen to share the same skin color as people who did something in the past. If we all thought like that, all of us would have been guilty of something. All of us has a reason to be guilty about something. But this is stuff, this is a whole business. This is why all these DEI advocates get mad. This is why all these DEI people, they get angry because they were planning to make a whole career off of sowing discrimination, pushing discrimination. And this serves no purpose but to create more discrimination and keep these people in a job. Because in my estimation, DEI is going to keep pushing these things for black people. And then eventually, let's say 50 years from now, your great-grandkids are going to be the one suffering from DEI because they're going to be like, oh, yeah, look, you got all this privilege. Look at you guys. You guys was less qualified. Y'all get in at a higher percentage. How it makes sense that you're 30% of the population, but you're overrepresented in this field. Now it's these people's turn. And your kid is going to be at the opposite end of the DEI thing, just like Asians are right now. This is why they don't want to introduce DEI to the NBA because it's majority dominated by black people, 78%. If DEI was so good, if diverse teams are so good, why you don't apply it to fields that are majority represented by minorities? Because DEI is never about what it says it is. All it is pushing discrimination for a hustle. One sought to train teachers to help students understand and interrogate the complex histories involved in oppression and help students recognize areas of privilege and power on an individual and collective basis, aka create a prejudice about an individual based on a history they did not live, they wasn't a part of, merely because they share skin color with certain people. This is what they're trying to teach you. They're trying to teach you a prejudice, to have a prejudice, and try to tell society it's okay. It's okay to have a prejudice against this certain amount of, against this color of people, because this color of people did something when no one alive was around when slavery was going on. And they like to make all this hoopla. And this is my problem with DEI. And this is why it's a waste of money. You're teaching these kids to have all these prejudices, but you don't want to teach the history where more white people died to free slaves. You ran to the north. All these people, all these liberal Mexicans trying to take credit. Oh, when you was running to South Africa, South America, and all this stuff. No. A lot of slaves were running to the north because there were free states in this country. But this is what happens when the complex history, they don't understand their history or the history of this country. They want to cherry pick history and then make a narrative about it. But as you will know, history is so broad that anyone can make a narrative out of anything. So why worry about it in the first place? You want to piggyback off the suffering of your ancestors, off the suffering of slavery, because you happen to share the same skin color as them and you pretend you have the same struggle. I can't stand people sometimes. I can't stand people sometimes. But here's Trump reacting to these judges getting in his way. And then I want to focus on this panel. As usual, Democrats are trying to defend race, fraud, and abuse. But I digress. Let's see Trump's opinion about these judges getting in his way and Elon Musk. Let's take a look.
So some of your plays have raised some questions and had some pushbacks. 19 states' attorneys general filed a lawsuit, and early Saturday, a judge agreed with them to restrict Elon Musk and his government efficiency team, DOGE, from accessing Treasury Department payment and data systems. They said there was a risk of irreparable harm. What do you make of that? And does that slow you down on what you want to do?
No, I disagree with it 100%. I think it's crazy. And we have to solve the efficiency problem. We have to solve the fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone in the government. You take a look at the USAID, the kind of fraud in there,
and you
where
found
the money's
significant
going.
things.
Well, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going, where if I read a list, you'd say this is ridiculous, and you've read the same lists, and there are many that you haven't even seen. It's crazy. It's a big scam. Now, there's some good money, and we can do that through any one of a number. I think I'd rather give it to Marco Rubio over at the State Department. Let him take care of the few good ones. So I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it.
Before I get into the commentary, I got to show you exactly what you're going to see Democrats on a panel defending, right? The magnitude of fraud in government payments, your tax dollars being spent, is much higher than you think. The Treasury is estimated to have about 87% of its budget being used in a fraudulent or wasteful manner. The Treasury Department. This is who federal, in my video, I just talked about how judges are out here blocking moves to cut funding, right? But this is getting ridiculous. That's just one example. Right? And America is all behind Donald Trump doing this. So now you're going to see them try to defend CFPB. And I heard a lot of bad things about this department. Allegedly, and this is from a Republican, I still have to do my research on it because this is the first time I heard about the CFPB. But it pretty much is an organization meant to harass. You're pretty much paying these people to harass you. That's the Consumer Federal Protection Bureau. That's what it is. So we're going to see this debate, and I won't let you form your own opinions about it, but obviously I'm going to give you mine. But the fact that it's so predictable, you know that the Democrats are going to spin it in some way to defend this organization, not acknowledge that wasteful spending could be in there, not argue the details, just argue, oh, look, we're going to argue the intentions. But the reason I think this conversation is crossing each other is that Republicans are arguing the results. What are the outcomes? We're spending $850 billion in the Department of Education, yet we're the worst education in the world. Something needs to change. Throwing more money at it is not the solution. Maybe we need to optimize. Maybe we need to deploy the money correctly, not spending $100 million on DEI stuff. That's $100 million that could have went to something else that will be more productive to the outcomes that we're looking for a better education here in America. But Democrats don't want to take that angle. Democrats don't want to acknowledge that wrinkle. But I digress. Let's get into the video.
It's interesting, Lance, because this agency that we're talking about right now has, over the years, returned nearly $20 billion to American consumers. So how is shuttering it good for Americans?
Well, where did that $20 billion come from? Fining financial institutions, suing small businesses out there. That's their record of what they've done. I mean, that's some would argue that they've increased prices. That's what their whole purpose is, to fine financial institutions and all of that good stuff. So I think that was
actually guardrails. They're actually what the federal government does. They act as guardrails to make.
Here's my take on the government. The government is a referee. Right? And we know referees can make some bad calls. If you ever played sports in your life, referees can make some bad calls. They can influence the game, right? If you have a referee that's allowing a lot of physical play, hey, it's going to benefit certain players. Maybe the not as skilled players, but maybe the physical players, they'll benefit a lot in that environment. If you got a ref that likes to call foul for any ticky-tack, you could breathe on the guy. The ref will call it. You create an incentive in that game where, hey, the skilled player knows, hey, look, you can't be as physical as you want with me, and he's draining threes in your face like Stephen Curry. We know the referee can influence a lot in the game. And what are the incentives here? If this consumer thing is supposed to be, as she said it is, it's supposed to protect consumers, okay, we can evaluate that and look into that. But like I said, I don't know much about this, so I'll let them talk about it. But for the most part, the incentive for these people is to control the game, right? Control the market, control the environment, because that's what government does. Like, government's whole thing is trying to justify why it should manage and control a certain aspect of your life.
Or that actually, when they're trying to defraud the public,
That's
that
your
there is
argument.
a federal. This is literally what they were there to create it to do.
They were suing small businesses in Chicago and taking them to task for over minor stuff. I mean,
illegal stuff? Or just
This is what I'm talking about. They want to control. It's not all like, end of the day, we shouldn't listen to people's intentions. We shouldn't vote on policy based on its intentions. We should vote on policy based on its outcomes. What are the outcomes? And are we okay with the trade-offs that this outcome operates by? In a lot of cases, a lot of these departments, it's no. I don't want to get sued for some ticky-tacky thing by the government for what? And then you have the goal to take money from me as well? Huh? Imagine that. Essentially, you're paying your tax dollars, and businesses pay more taxes than individuals. Your tax dollars is literally getting funded to fund a prosecution against you. So it makes sense. I kind of agree with the Republican here. It is like paying someone to come after you.
just minor stuff.
Minor stuff. That is a fact.
But that's what you're saying. It's minor stuff. But they've also managed to protect.
Take the money away from financial institutions. That's what they were built on. This was designed and created by Elizabeth Warren, one of the most far-left senators in the country. And so,
Okay, the minute I hear Elizabeth Warren name, I already know it's a bad deal. And also, I believe this is the same bureau that was using, hey, we got you, Wells Fargo, we got you, banks, you got to pay a fine. But if you pay to this left-wing organization, we're all squared as a settlement. Eric Holder, all you have to do is look at Eric Holder's corruption. He was redirecting money from fines and all these restitutions that these businesses were forced to pay, and he was redirecting them into slush funds for progressive activists. Then we found out that a lot of departments were giving slush funds to the. It's so crazy how Democrats, they sit here pretending, oh, look, we're standing up for the little guy. But standing up for the little guy was funding their activist groups. So it creates an sense of like, are you really standing up for me, or are you using me as a pretext to funnel money into your causes? And that's a question I think a lot of voters have to ask themselves.
Absolutely.
So you're actually like just yay banks, yay big business. Let's have no oversight whatsoever. Is that?
Well, no one's saying there's no oversight, but I'm saying if Wolf's talking about $20 billion, where is the $20 billion coming from?
Who's supposed to have the oversight, Lance? Who's supposed to have the oversight?
That's what we have a government for, but that we
exactly.
can have a government
but
have oversight in this country
if you get rid of the
issues.
institutions that do it, then who's supposed to have the oversight, Lance?
So we'll just create new agencies, and they'll take $20 billion out of our financial institutions. That's what you're suggesting that we do.
So the plan is what? To create new agencies?
So it sounds like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau doesn't actually save us money. It just takes $20 billion from the private sector. So I see that as, okay, it's like you increase taxes to gain another $20 billion. That's what it comes across to me. So even the way that Wolf Blitzer framed how they're doing, oh, look, they saved $20 billion. I'm thinking, oh, yeah, they found waste fraud somewhere in the government and saved the taxpayers money. No, they took money from the private sector to add it into the government coffers. So in my head, I'm like, you didn't save $20 billion. You just created, it's like IRS at this point.
Look, there's obviously a
so Donald Trump is now in the government, right? So he is the federal government. So if you're suggesting there should be no oversight, then what is going to take its place?
What are you talking about? No oversight. I'm discussing where the $20 billion is coming from. It's coming from financial institutions, which has a direct impact on people who have funds at those banks. That's absolutely what happens. That's absolutely what this agency's been doing. There is obviously a difference of opinion in terms of this agency and what it should be doing and who's holding what accountable based on the Trump administration. And yeah, they're trying to shut it down. And again, this is yet another fight that they're ready to have.
Yeah, man. Like it to me, if it's not clear what your department is supposed to be doing, you should shut it down. That's inefficient, right? If you have a department doing too many things, you can't chase two rabbits. What is the goal of this thing? Okay, we want to protect consumers. Thing. Okay, do you need to directly go? Like, you can't just observe. Why you have to actively seek violations? And this is what I'm saying. You can regulate your way into tyranny. And this is the problem that I think Republicans have with a lot of Democrats, is that they love regulation. They think, oh, we create a clear guidelines of how you're supposed to operate. But what if the guidelines are based on a false premise? Then you're just creating problems. You're creating environments where you're stifling people's ability to do things in proper business. And I'm always been this person that, I think I can do stuff for myself. If I feel like I was defrauded, let me go to court. Now, if your consumer financial protection thing is going to help me do that, fine. But it acting on its own just to go and try to find stuff, find issues, find violations to do, it's suspect. It look like you like the IRS. I'm just coming, give me your money. You violated this law somewhere in a lot of businesses, and I think this is where I think I'm going with as a free market capitalist. As a business, a lot of businesses spend a lot of money on a legal defense, right? Having these legal people go over every regulation, every new thing that comes out of the government to avoid getting attacked by the CFPB. And small businesses can't afford it. That's why I think that's what his argument was, is that these guys end up going after small businesses, which employ most people in this country, in the benefit of these big businesses. Because the big businesses, they can afford, even if they violate something, they can afford to pay the fines and stuff. Not a small business, though. And I see this. This is why I said, like, when someone says, oh, why would rich people vote for a Democrat? It's so the Democrats can create regulations to close the door behind them. That's why. But I digress. I think we got enough. We saw enough here from this conversation. But Democrats keep painting themselves in this corner where, hey, we're trying to downsize the government. Do we really need this? Could this department be done by another department? And this is the efficiency we're talking about. I feel like there's too many departments doing the same thing. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you feel so inclined. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.